on this latest edition of DWZ Discussions, as you know recently, back in April, we saw the most shocking development regarding Starlight Kid. As you all know, she was expelled from Oedo Tai, but unexpectedly she was rescued by none other than Nakano. However, recently, about a month ago, Starlight Kid hinted the possibilities of taking off her mask. I know what you guys are thinking. No! Yeah, I thought so too. But there is a question that maybe some of you are eluding. That question is, can she succeed without her mask? Well, lucky for you guys are talking to a guy who grew up watching Lucha Libre. Now, we're going to deep dive on certain wrestlers that were able to find success without their mask. Maybe to get you guys a clear view how they did it, what they needed to do. Now, what about the unsuccessful ones? Well, we are going to get deep dives on those too. And I think some of you may find disbelief because this is the only person I can think of. And we're going to also do some deep dive on other scenarios that maybe some of you may think it would work. But to be fair, I don't know how the rules are in Japan, and specifically with masked wrestlers. That's the thing that I don't know. I mean, I'm aware of certain details when it comes to masked wrestlers in Mexico, but not in Japan. That's the thing I'm not aware of. But if you guys know the answer to that, please leave a comment down below. So that way I can deep dive a little bit. But however, we also will talk about, of course, what is, of course, her next move. What's her future? Well, we're going to talk a whole lot about that. So, let's get ready for another DWZ Discussions. Hey everyone, welcome to DWZ Discussions, where we discuss on various topics in the world of pro wrestling, such as the wrestlers themselves, the promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also do, of course, reviews on various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK, anywhere where pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also, of course, do news updates to keep you guys updated on what's been going on in the world of pro wrestling, such as what events the promotions are thrown out, who's booked, what matches are set, including, of course, news updates to keep you guys on alert if something has happened that needs to be addressed ASAP. And, of course, we have the Unagi Sayaka Watch and various other cool things as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us so click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting certain videos like these, the discussions, but the most fun ones you will enjoy are the reviews and other cool wrestling content as well. But if you like this video, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, all introductions have set aside, I think it's time to get the show on the road. So, let's begin, guys, to talk about Starlight Kid. Alright, Starlight Kid. How did we get here to this point? Well, let's talk about the beginning, how this happened. Now, we're not going to throw in the whole all-career stuff. Just to be clear, we all know her history. But how did we get to this point where she hinted the possibilities of taking off her mask? Well, let's start to how this began. Back in the All-Star Grand Queendom by Stardom, Starlight Kid was involved in a match with Ruaka to be in a four-way match for the Goddesses tag team titles, where eventually they lost. Now, at some point, Oedo Tai decided to turn on her, expelling her from Oedo Tai, feeling that they no longer need her. Now, Momo commented about this, saying that, you know, Starlight Kid never picked up weapons. She always takes cute photos of herself. The whole thing. So, basically, she felt that she was no longer useful to them, so they had to let her go. But the unexpected surprise was Tam Nakano rescuing her. Now, some of you may question, why did she had to do it? Well, Tam Nakano, if you guys believe this or not, those who don't know, Tam Nakano knows what it's like to be expelled from Oedo Tai, because early in her career in Stardom, she used to be a member, but she was expelled from the group in a loser leave unit match, and that match was won by none other than Queen's Quest. The person who won that match was Momo Watanabe. How ironic is that? So that's how it's like. Now, of course, Tam Nakano, she felt that she did not want to see her, like she couldn't stand seeing her in this situation. Now, Tam was never in this situation. The rest of Oedo Tai of that time just walked out, like whatever. So that's how it happened. But many people were probably hoping that that Starlight Kid would return to Stars. But I think Mayu was a bit selfish to believe that she'll return. But I have noticed that a majority of the members, except for Mayu and Momo Kogo, they don't want Starlight Kid back. Not because they don't want to. They just feel like times have changed. You know, the Star members are right in the right pieces. Momo kind of wanted her to come back, but later she changed her tune when she lost in a match involving her. But eventually, of course, Mayu Iwatani withdrawn the possibilities of her to come back, but she had to agree what Tam said, that, of course, Starlight Kid has a right to decide her own path. Now, where did this thing about her removing her mask come from? Well, Tam Nakano mentioned on social media that she looks cuter without the mask. And they kind of put into it, not a, I don't know how to describe it, more for Starlight Kid to consider. Now, do I think it's the right option for her? I'm not saying no or yes, but I think maybe it's a solution to see what's out there. And she's considering possibly joining the Cosmic Angels. But we will see what happens until then. But some of you may question now, can she succeed without the mask? Well, right now, let's deep dive on those wrestlers who were able to succeed without their mask. How can Starlight Kid succeed without her mask? Has it been done before? Well, lucky for you guys, you're talking to a guy, as I said, who watched Lucha Libre as a kid. Now, I never understood much of the reasons why. I mean, I've always felt like that they're more different without their mask. But what I have observed over time, they have changed. Certain wrestlers were able to find success in different ways. There were two ways they did it. One, change their gimmick, their look. Two, change their wrestling skills, their wrestling craft. Who are exactly these wrestlers that were able to do some things like that? Well, I can give you a few names. Just bear with me on certain ones. One of them I know of is, of course, Volador Jr. Now, those who know him, he also made appearances in AEW recently. Volador Jr. is a second-generation wrestler like his father, who originally was known as the original Volador, and then later when he lost his mask, he put on the second mask. I'll get to that at some other point. Of course, calling himself Super Parka. But what's the difference with Volador Jr.? Well, he looked a lot more different than his dad. Now, he lost his mask many years ago against La Sombra, or as you guys know him, Andrade El Idolo. That's right. So he removed his mask. But the one thing that was impressive about him, he decided to change his gimmick, his look. It was very interesting how he changed it. He used to have this look where he wore this one piece, kind of like you're wearing tights, covering your whole upper body. But he did continue to do high-flying techniques that he always did. But the one thing that he added was throwing some technical submission moves. Some of you may think, but you said he's a high flyer. That's true, guys. But he continued to find success. Even to this day, he's been successful. He found a new gimmick. Now, today's gimmick that he has, he just wears tights and boots. He still does high flying, and he does, of course, still does the groundwork, the technical wrestling aspects. And it's worked for him so far, and he continues to find success. I remember that he received like a lifetime award when he was here in Tijuana, Mexico, right across from of course San Diego, and he got that award for that, and he looked a lot different back then, and now he continues to evolve even without his mask, so he will still continue to find success. So this could be one of the things that Starlight Kid could use, if she decides to take off her mask. Now, another prime example of wrestlers that lost their mask is Dragon Dia. Now, you guys recently saw Dragon Dia in New Japan Pro Wrestling for the Best of the Super Juniors. Now, Dragon Dia, the one thing he had to change was his look. He didn't have to change his wrestling craft. He still continues to do like the whole high flying thing, but he changed his look into a skateboarder look. When he came after he losing his mask, he came back stronger, even without it. He actually became a skateboarder, and the gimmick worked perfectly well. He comes out with the skateboard, but when he came back, he challenged for the Open the Dream Gate Championship and the Open the Twin Gates Championship. So basically, he was a double champion for a very short amount of time, but it did brought success to him regardless. He's still the same. Now, some of you may question, why did he change his wrestling style? Well, he's still young. I mean, he's not going anywhere. I mean, that's the thing that kind of got my attention. But he continues to be awesome, the way he is. Now, there is another wrestler who didn't actually have to change his gimmick or changed his wrestling craft, and you guys know him or don't. Bryan Danielson mentioned him a lot, and I'm talking about the legend Blue Panther Jr. That's right, no, Blue Panther, my bad. Blue Panther was the one. He is still the same, guys. The guy's a legend. He doesn't need to change his gimmick or his wrestling style. He is considered one of the best technical wrestlers in all of Mexico and possibly the world. So he didn't have to change anything, and it has worked well so far for him. I mean, he's an absolute legend. But yes, he did have a mask, but he did recently put on the mask for a one night only by request from Bryan Danielson. So that kind of rule works. But yeah, so that's one of the great things that I like about him. But now that we talk about these wrestlers who were able to find success without the mask, what about the ones that were enabled? Well, there's only one name I can think of, I know there's a lot of wrestlers that lost their mask, but I just don't know how they're doing without it. And I think many of you may find this one debatable, or some of you just don't think he fits the idea, or just don't understand it. But bear with me. So let's talk about that. If Starlight Kid decides to take off the mask, and maybe in future down the road she puts it back on, can she put it back on? Well, as I said, I don't know how the rules are in Japan, but I do know the rules in Mexico. Yes, you can put on the mask back on, but there is a twist to that. You have to have a name change of course, have a new gimmick, a new name, and all that. Some of you may find that criticizing, but it has been done before. I mean, Volador Jr.'s dad is one of them. Of course, when Volador lost his mask, he actually put on another one, and that one he later became as Super Parca. Yes, he's related to L.A. Park, the original La Parca. He was his nephew, and of course, Volador Jr.'s cousin. So yes, he only wore 2 masks, but of course, it worked for him because he had to wear a different mask, and there's nothing wrong with it. But you cannot put on the old mask. Now, there has been a wrestler that I've been aware of a long time ago that actually wore multiple masks. Let me find him real quick on my phone, because I just read about him not too long ago. Let's see. Okay, here it is. Okay, yeah, this guy, he calls himself Mr. Mexico, but he goes by the name Miguel Angel Guzman Velasquez. Now, this guy had different wrestling masks over time. He had mask names kind of like Drago, Vegas, Mr. Nieblas, IWRG, Colossus, um, Gitano, El Rey, you know, um, yeah, so he had multiple masks. Now, I think some of you were like saying, Jesus, J Rod, why did he actually wear too many masks? Well, the rule is you cannot continue wearing the same old gimmick, the same old name. So if you're going to put a mask back on, you got to change the name and change the gimmick. But I don't know how that works. There is another wrestler that I know of that had to do the same thing, and that one was Abismo Negro, translates to Black Abyss. He was known as Winners, but the one thing that was messed up about him is that he was forced to lose his mask on his birthday against his best friend, which was really, 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 really messed up. I mean, Antonio Peña did not like that anyway. That's why he took him with him to AAA. But yeah, I mean, Starlight Kid, I'm sure he could put the mask back on, but as I said, I don't know what the rules are in Japan. I'm not sure if they're similar or certain things, I don't know. That is still unclear for me. But if you guys know the answer to that, please comment, leave a comment down below, and give me the answer to that. But some of you may question, J-Rod, will this also, does the Rey Mysterio situation apply to Starlight Kid? No, that's a different circumstances. But let's get to that, so that way you guys can get a much clearer idea of what exactly is happening. Okay. The Rey Mysterio situation. Those who are not familiarized before my generation, those who know this, Rey Mysterio was forced to remove his mask many years ago. WCW broke and violated their agreement that none of their luchadors who wear a mask will be taken off. Well, there's only been two in history, Juventud Guerrera and Rey Mysterio. Now, Rey Mysterio, but why is Rey Mysterio the one recognized for this? Well, here's the reason why. After Rey Mysterio removed his mask when WCW was bought off by WWE, he went back to Mexico, continued to wrestle without his mask. However, when WWE actually called them and recruited him, Vince McMahon had only one request, and that request is to have him put on his mask. Now, this put him in a dire situation. Rey Mysterio has always been the kind of guy who uphold the law of Mexican tradition. He did spoken to El Fantasma, Santos Escobar's dad, who is currently still the president of the Boxing and Wrestling Commission. He explained the situation to him, and of course, he told him, "You can put your mask back on." Now, a lot of people find this a lot of controversy about this situation, and the reason is this. He explained it. The rule is, he never lost his mask on Mexican soil. He lost it here in the States. It does not count. But however, the reason they did that is because they felt what Rey Mysterio did was unjust. It was unfair. They gave an injustice. It was injustice for what they did. So they decided to give some justice, saying, "Put your mask back on." So that's what happened. Now, this thing does not apply to Starlight Kid. But how will she lose the mask? Well, we'll talk about that next on what's the future like, what's her next move and her future if she decides to take off her mask. Okay. How will Starlight Kid remove her mask? I can think of two ways. Now, the first option is la apuesta, of course, the bet. You know, Starlight Kid put her mask on the line against whoever, and if she loses, she takes off the mask. But the second one is very unlikely, but a part of me is thinking that she may go with that route. And that route is voluntarily removing her mask. Now, that's never been done. No, wait a minute. It has. Yes. there has been a wrestler that has been done before. And luckily for you guys, I just talked about his tag partner, Dragon Dia's friend and teammate, Dragon Inferno. Yes, Dragon Inferno took off his mask after Dragon Dia lost it and revealed to be himself to be Yukio Yoshioka. He took off his mask voluntarily, and he did it because he became close to Dia, like as a rival, now a friend. So he did that voluntarily. Could Starlight Kid do something like this? I mean, truth to be told, I mean, if Dragon and Yukio Yoshioka actually did it, I mean, Starlight Kid could do it too. I mean, I'm not going to say she won't, but it's a possibility. I mean, but yeah. Now, if she does decide to take off her mask, the only way she would do that if she joins the Cosmic Angels. I mean, Tam doesn't want her to remove her mask. She said that she'll put on the mask herself. But, of course, Starlight Kid was like, I'm not sure about this. I mean, you putting on your mask and for me to keep mine. And it's like Tam wants to sacrifice it. Like, she feels like giving that thought in her mind made things worse. But in the end of the day, I feel it's Starlight Kid's decision what she wants to do. I mean, does she want to take off the mask or remove it? And she does have the right to choose what faction she go in. For me, I would like to see her in Cosmic Angels. Not because, they're gaining members, but more like she could bring out more of what Cosmic Angels should be now. Reaching the top. And I think that's what it should be important. And I think it'll be fun. But, as I said, it's Starlight Kid's decision at the end of the day. And apparently, recently, she has narrowed out her decision. And Cosmic Angels, I think, is one of them. But we will see what happens until then. But as of right now, let's just call it a day. Well, I hope this video gives you a very informative information about Starlight Kid. About how can she succeed, of course, without her mask. The possibilities of being unsuccessful. Certain rules. Of course, throwing some other things that don't relate to her, but to give you guys a clear idea, and her future if she does decide to take off her mask. I'm kind of curious to see where this is going to go. Because, as you know, I mentioned this before, Mayu Iwatani has now withdrawn the idea of Starlight Kid returning. I know Tam Nakano will love to have her around because she cares about her. And of course, I know EXV does have an interest in her because Mina is trying to expand EXV, but we'll see where that leads us from here on out. But we will wait and see what Starlight Kid's next move is going to be. And I'm sure many of you will be curious and exciting to see what's going to happen. So, until then, I'll see you guys on the next episode. So, I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye. Mwah. And have a nice day.